3-1, take 2. The size of a bench should be designed to meet the needs of a greenhouse worker or the customer. 3 factors should be looked at when designing the physical size of a greenhouse bench. The height of the people using the benches. There are standard bench heights that are designed for the majority of people, but it may be preferable to customize the height and the width of the bench to suit individual needs. The type of crop that you will be growing. If you're growing taller crops, the bench height may need to be lower to allow staff to do work within the crop canopy. The type of crop can also influence width. For example, trays of cell packs are easier to place and remove from very wide benches than individual pots of geraniums or lilies. Also, plots that require frequent tending, such as pinching or cutting, need to be narrower benches to allow more frequent care than plants that are simply put in place, watered, and allowed to grow. Amount of access that is required is a requirement to be able to reach plants. Is it a requirement to be able to reach plants from all sides of the bench, or only one or two sides of the bench? This will determine the width of the bench. Some standard bench sizes are height 80 to 90 centimeters, width 75 to 80 centimeters, access from one side, 100 to 200 centimeters of access from two sides. Aisle benches and wall benches, essentially, I suppose. Aisle access. The average aisle clearance between benches in most greenhouses is 90 to 120 centimeters, although bench spacing is to a large extent dedicated for the purpose for the bench. Specifically, this relates to whether the bench is located in a retail area where a lot of space is required, or in a growing area where efficiency of space storage is paramount. This spacing can also be modified to accommodate the equipment that may need to pass through the greenhouse. Aisle width between benches should be a minimum 18 inches for the ease of movement. However, aisle spaces will be dictated by the use to which the greenhouse is dedicated. For example, if the greenhouse is to be used for retail as well as growing, the aisle space may increase to 4 feet. For customer access, equipment use within the greenhouse will also dictate aisle width. Cart, sprayer width, loading equipment, loading carts, trolleys. Bench arrangement determines the placement of benches within a greenhouse. In most cases, the main focus would be to maximize the space for growing while minimizing the aisle space that is essentially lost growing space. There are several factors a grower needs to consider when planning how to arrange benches. The physical dimensions of the greenhouse, how much floor space is there, the heating, watering, and air circulation equipment and arrangement. Benching sometimes needs to be placed in the same direction as other equipment for ease of operation. What is greenhouse space used for? If it is only growing area, then a grower can focus on maximizing use of floor area for growing and provide sufficient enough access to accommodate their workers and equipment. However, if the space is intended for retail sales, then the aisle space or access will need to be larger to accommodate traffic flow, access to products and displays. Benching arrangement is a balance between growing requirements and labor efficiency. The table below illustrates some common benching arrangements. Retail, longitudinal, stationary, peninsular, stationary, Roller bench, longitudinal movable. Designed primarily for customer access and displays. Permits long continuous use of water and heat line layout. Benches should not be against the wall to allow better air circulation and prevent plants being placed near the glazing surface from becoming chilled. Can provide the greatest amount of bench space per floor area for fixed benches. The most efficient bench system for maximizing growing area, while configuration only one or two aisle access is required. Designed for greenhouses that require minimal labor movement and rely on more mechanization. Actual bench can act as a pallet to hold plants and be used for transportation. Materials used in constructing a bench. Benches are made from a host of different materials. Benches can be either pre-manufactured or custom built depending on the specific needs of the greenhouse, cost, and personal preference. Wood benches. Wood benching is a convenient choice for many greenhouse growers because the material itself is readily available. In addition, no particular specialized construction skills is required when assembling wood benching. Probably the most critical concern when using wood benches is to ensure that adequate space exists between the individual wood members used in the bench surface. Open spacing allows for adequate drainage and air circulation while continuing to provide sufficient support for the plant materials above. The support, or stands, for wood benching can be constructed out of wood and be integrated as part of an entire bench system. This works well for fixed benching. If temporary or movable benching is desired, then the wooden benches may rest on some type of portable support system, such as pipe rollers. Cylinder blocks are a good choice for cheap, readily available, and relatively inexpensive. Good choice for cheap. I missed it. Cylinder blocks are a good choice for cheap, efficient benches and are easily moved. Cinder blocks also possess excellent structural strength, providing more than adequate support under most circumstances, and they're readily available and relatively inexpensive. A major concern with using wood benching is that wood deteriorates rapidly in a warm, wet environment if it is left unprotected. For this reason, there are 4 options when using wood. Using wood with natural preservatives, cedar, is not a choice for commercial greenhouse operations because of the cost of the material. Pressure-treated wood should not be used in a greenhouse due to the potential for leaching of the preservatives and subsequent poisoning of the internal environment. Use non-toxic, low-volatile organic paints, low VOC, to seal the wood. This will at least extend the life of the bench to some degree. Apply water-based preservatives. Don't treat the wood, and accept that you will need to replace benches frequently. Care should be employed when using wood preservatives because of the hazard associated with their use and potential for causing phytotoxic poisonous reactions in the plants being grown. There are 2 types of wood preservatives available. Oil-based preservatives. Most oil-based preservatives should not be used in any greenhouse. These preservatives emit toxic fumes that are injurious to plants. Examples of oil-based preservatives that should not be used in a greenhouse are creosote and pentachlorophenol, copper, naphthene. Another oil-based preservative is sometimes recommended for greenhouse use. Care should be exercised in its use, and plants should be monitored. Copper, naphthene, oil-based preservative, sometimes recommended for greenhouses. Most water-based preservatives are relatively non-toxic to plant material. Some root damage can occur if plants come into direct contact with freshly treated wood, so the wood should be allowed to weather before use. Examples of water-based preservatives include acid copper chromate, chromated copper arsenate, fluoride chromate arsenate, chromate arsenate, dinithrol phenol, dinithrophenol, or Woolman salts. That's probably easier. I wonder why they have a different name for that one.
Yep, my iPad died.
Oh man, give me, I don't know, another 10 minutes? Oh, I think it's break time.